What's going on, guys? Dr. Shak here. Today I'm going to be talking about how I study pharmacology. Pharmacology is a pretty hard class. Taking exams requires a certain mindset. So today I'm going to be explaining what I feel is effective in preparation for pharm exams. Alright, let's get right into this, but first, if you're new, definitely consider subscribing. First of all, writing notes for every single aspect of a drug is pretty ineffective. There's a lot of detail that goes into learning the bits and pieces, the nitty-gritties of every single medication. Most schools ask stuff related to mechanism of action, side effects of drugs, drug-to-drug interactions, drug-to-disease interactions, the whole gambit. It can be overwhelming. So I feel writing notes down in your notebook or on an iPad is very, very hard to retain, just because there's so much information regarding the clinical applications of the meds that you're learning, which is why I think Anki is probably the best tool to work with. Now, Anki should only be used for the important features of the drugs. Like I mentioned, the mechanism of action, adverse effects, indications, contraindications, whatever. At the same time, Anki is crucial because, practically speaking, the notes that you're taking on your PowerPoint slides or lecture slides, all you really have to do is memorize the important bits that require a quick retention of the information. So with Anki, you can make cards very quickly because all you have to do is copy and paste the information. This is reason number one as to why Anki is a great tool for pharmacology. You spend less time writing stuff down and more time making flashcards out of stuff that's already been written and stuff that's going to be potentially on an exam. Which brings me to my second point. All your cards should be representing ideas and concepts in very simple language. So as you're copying and pasting stuff, it'd be easier and make it easier to go through all the cards that you generated by cutting out all the other irrelevant information. That way, when you're actually doing your cards, it becomes easier for you to learn because you're spending less time reading. If you're in medical school, you've likely heard about Sketchy Pharm. They're not a sponsor yet. Hey yo, Sketchy folks, if you're watching this, I hope to run an ad of yours someday. You hear me? Sketchy is basically a resource that med students can use to learn all kinds of subjects, namely Sketchy Micro and Sketchy Pharm. It's super helpful because they make all kinds of sketches for medications in the form of a story that's readily identifiable. These stories have certain features and players that are named according to whatever you're studying. By watching Sketchy videos, you can literally learn so much of the important detail that are very likely to come up on any kind of institution exam or even step one if you're preparing for that. It's all high yield information. And it's all because of the visual aids and mnemonics that they use to capture this important material. Best believe I use a lot of Sketchy Pharm when I'm preparing for pharm exams and the upcoming step one exam. I mentioned that I use Sketchy videos to have a basic understanding of all the high yield stuff related to the medications that we cover in class. What I do afterward is use the holy grail of medical school, which is the Anki deck. So for those of you that don't know, Anki is this guy that has made Anki cards for the entirety of step 1 and I believe step 2. It's over 40,000 cards, and you can even use it for your 3rd and 4th years during rotations. That also means that they have cards for pharm, and what's special about it is that you can parse out and suspend cards that are not related to the material that you have to cover. So you can pinpoint specific topics that you want to cover and do those cards after watching a Sketchy video. And that's because Anki has already organized every single tag that's related to the video that you just watched for Sketchy Pharm or even for Sketchy Micro. So what I do is I first watch the videos, then I go underneath the tags section in Anki to unlock all the relevant cards that cover that video. And I just do them whenever I can, along with the flashcards that I created for myself that are based on the lectures that my professors gave. So just to summarize everything, first, make Anki cards and do them religiously. Don't overwhelm yourself by making too many cards. Just make cards on the important details and the stuff that requires pure retention and memorization. Or stuff like pathophysiology, which requires some basic understanding so that you understand how the drugs interact with that pathological process. Learn the big picture stuff, and that doesn't necessarily mean you need to use Anki, but that does mean that you need to have a general sense of what's going on. So whether you're good with figures or diagrams, you can also even make Anki cards out of those if you wanted to. Number 2, use Sketchy Pharm as part of your learning. So it helps with creating the visual hooks and mnemonics that you need so that it helps with your learning the main stuff that your professors focus on. And number 3, just be diligent with your Anki. Keep it consistent and do it every day to reinforce everything that you're learning. These 3 steps really helped me score exponentially higher, and I covered a lot more material faster and more efficiently than when I first started pharmacology in medical school. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for your support. If you like the content, leave a like and subscribe if you're new. Also, comment below on what you think or any other strategies that you might find as helpful for pharm. As always, I like keeping it real. See you in the next one.